Hello and welcome to Cutlery Cavern. Today I'm going to be talking about my Gaff knife. This is one of these stranger knives that I have in my collection, and you can probably tell that just by looking at it. These knives are made sometime between the 1920s and through the 1950s, and several companies made them, including Imperial, Kinfolks, and Western. I'm sure several other American companies made them also. However, most of the ones I seem to run into come out of Solingen, Germany, and many of them look just like this, with just a simple brass handle. And if you notice, the handle is actually the liners of the knife. There's actually no scale that has been added over the brass handle, which keeps the knife relatively thin, because it is a three-blade knife, and it's not really that thick. It's only about well, as thick as the three springs, so a little less than half an inch thick. But it is still a pocketful because it's almost 5 inches long, maybe even a little more than 5 inches long. Now, why they call this a gaff knife is because it has a gaff hook, as you can see right here. Now, for those who are not familiar with what a gaff hook is, it's basically a hook that you use when you've caught a fish and you're having a problem pulling it over into your boat. You use this hook to basically hook into the fish. For instance, we have the speckled banana trout coming along. We catch the banana trout, and we've got it hooked, but we're trying to reel it in, and we can't really grab it. So what we use is we use the gaff hook, and we kind of hook it into the back of the banana trout, and we just pull it on into the boat. Now the problem is, these knives are somewhat old, and many people use it to pull in things much bigger than banana trouts. And because these are basically just stainless steel, these hooks often get straightened out and bent to the point where they actually don't close correctly into the handle. So you got to look for that, because even this one might be a little bit bent. But this one is usually about where they drop into the handle. The other two blades on it are your basic standard blades that you find on your typical fish knives. You got your scaling blade with the hook degorger or hook remover. So that's the typical blade, and as you see, it also has the bottle opener, because we know that bottle openers are essential for anyone who's going fishing. And then the other blade you have on it is your typical clip style blade that you see on so many other fish knives. What really makes the knives interesting are these gaff hooks. Of course, that gaff hook also makes it not the easiest knife to hold and use, and typically you find yourself, if you're using it, you're grabbing it like so, because this gaff hook is in the way. So whenever you're working with your fish or anything, and I think that's why these knives are so infrequently found, is because they just really aren't that comfortable to use. And so I got a feeling a lot of people just didn't buy them, so fewer probably made. If you also notice, it has a lanyard hole. Almost all the gaff knives have lanyard holes, and that's because you're going to need a lanyard, because when you're using this hook, you're over the side of the boat, you're hooking into a fish. The fish does not really want to come in, so it's wiggling everywhere. Your hand's already wet. If you don't have a lanyard wrapped around your wrist, you have a very good chance of dropping your knife overboard. And I think that's another reason why there's so few of these, because a lot of people didn't use the lanyard, and a lot of them ended up overboard. So you combine that with the fact that they just weren't that popular, and then the fact that probably several were dropped overboard, and that a lot of people just didn't buy them to begin with. And it comes down to, this is one of the more unusual knives you'll run into, which means they do get it to be a little bit pricey on eBay. So if you're looking for them on eBay, you might see them running for as much as $75, $80, but you can usually get them for around $30 on eBay. But it's going to take time, and you're going to have to look for them for quite some time. Like I said, this one was made in Solingen, Germany. It's got stainless steel blades. I would date it somewhere to probably the 1950s, maybe even the 1960s. Has really nice brass handles on it, really tightly built and really well made. And fortunately for me, the hook is in about the way it should be. So if you see the hook and it's not turning into the complete J like that, then the chances are it's been bent out. You might be able to bend it back into place. You might not be able to. If you do any kind of bending on it, there's always the chance that it will not line up correctly or it will break. So it's really up to you. But the thing to remember is that that J should really drop into the handle quite a bit. So if it's not doing that, and if they're not showing pictures of it doing that, be very cautious when you're bidding on it or thinking about buying it. Still, if you collect fish knives, it seems to me you need to have at least one gaff knife in your collection. And it's just a nice little conversation piece, if nothing else. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.